Hold on. All right, so that should be working now. Yeah, I don't know why that error happens. Sorry. I can hear myself. So if you hear an echo, it isn't actually echoing. It's because I could hear myself there for a second. Got it. All right. So should be able to hear me. I could hear myself. Again, it will slightly. Yep. Cool. All right, Sean. You still have your time up, but you don't have your subscription. that founder. I'm not sure how. Euro dollar down 13, nothing really. Dollar yen down 7. And again, it's down 7, but if you look, it's up in the last 15 minutes, 0.0. Obviously, a bit of retracement in that one. That one got a little bit more in, but again, move, retrace, nothing just, consistent. Dollar Swiss up. Again, that was something we were calling for last week. We expected the Swiss to kind of weaken as kind of all sentiment disappeared. Like I said, the T virus spread in China is one thing. I actually heard more about it today about how I guess people like travel companies are worried, and I guess their stocks are starting to take a hit because of holiday based off of kind of what's going on with you know virus that's spreading, yada yada yada. Dollar CAD up 32. Again, we have an oil. And again, we had a little bit of manufacturing data today. We'll see actually more tomorrow is more of the CAD day. So again, I expect that one to be a bigger mover. We'll check those pairs out. Aussie dollar minus 24. So again, this one is also dollar strength coming back in, Aussie weakness coming back in. And I believe gold took a hit today too. I didn't check it, but I think I saw it earlier that gold took a whack um, there. And then euro pound, you're seeing that pound strength return as well as that pair is coming back down. And then pound yen up 44. So again, not a huge, a lot of that is actually recent in the last 15, 20 minutes. It's 0.07. So, nothing really, pushing their ATRs. Everything is more or less kind of on the muted side, which again, I mean, again, it wasn't really necessarily a huge day as far as news-wise goes, to be able to kind of bounce things all over the place. So, you know, that's going to happen. Now, going into, and again, looking for the news today, what can we see with news? Consumer sentiment fell a little bit in Australia. What else do you see here? Really not tons, right? And all of a sudden, here you go. CDC expected to announce the first U.S. case of the Wuhan coronavirus this afternoon. So, see, this is how it spreads. Like, if you guys watch Resident Evil, great series. I think there's, what, 5 of them or something like that? Alice is the bomb, right? Alice is the bomb. And again, now it's spreading and it's in the United States. So, see, this is how it happened in the movie. Be prepared. You're going to watch out. It's not the single zombie that you have to worry about, although those are pretty nasty. It's the flock of zombie crows. Those are the ones you got to watch out for. All right. I forget which one that was, but Alice like ended up turning like making like a flamethrower out of her hands. It was pretty cool, right? Um, yeah. There you go. Traveler from China has been diagnosed in Seattle. So it's like great, good job, right? And also here we see phase one deal and USMCA passage. Okay, again talking about that. And besides that, again, here's another thing on the virus. So 3 things on the virus, not a whole lot of economical news in here. Again, slow day. So looking into tomorrow, bam, we got some red. Got some red. 8:30, we start off with CPI month over month with the CAD. So again, I can expect dollar CAD to be moving a little bit, especially if that is a miss. And again, the previous was minus 0.1, and it's supposed to come in as flat this time. And you'll see that this one, for the most part, doesn't miss too much. But again, occasionally it does have a miss in there. But again, anytime you see this I in there, any type of inflation, in this case, the consumer price index, again, it does have the potential to move and then bounce back again. All right, so this is an interesting one because we have the 8:30 and then with the 10 o'clock right after it. So again, this will be a parabolic retracement potential at 8:30 tomorrow morning if we do have a miss. Okay, a pop and then a retrace waiting for that BOC statement. Now, there's not expected to be any type of rate cut or hike or anything like that, but we will see what they are feeling. I don't know. There may be some language in there that may be important. We'll kind of see as that one comes out tomorrow. But again, I don't expect a surprise rate cut tomorrow. We'll see what comes of that. And then 11:15 is the press conference, and that's where the unscripted kind of questions come from. And again, I'm sure there'll be some questions about the USMCA. Again, we've passed it. Mexico's passed it, but I don't think Canada is fully past it yet. But so there'll be some questions about that. That will probably come to light in there, and we'll see. And then 7:30 tomorrow night, we have the unemployment change, unemployment rate, basically the non-farm payroll of Australia, and that one definitely is worth some movement. Yeah. Wait, what is that? It's got this big flashing level 1 hype train sub gift and use bit. Any clue what the heck that is? But yes. So there's something about a hype train going on right now. I guess we are. I don't know if we're 94. There's a bunch of level 1 emotes. Ooh, there's some eagle bird emotes. I have no idea how to get that. But supposedly there's a hype train. Oh, okay. What do we need here? It says completing level 1 requires combined support events totaling 4 tier 1 subs or 1600 bits. And then it unlocks 4 emotes for us. I don't know what that one is. It's definitely a big bird of some sort. Oh, it's a griffin. Griffin 2, Griffin 3, Griffin 4, and Griffin 5. That's interesting. No idea. Something about hype chain for the next 4 minutes. So, hype, whatever the heck that means. All right, so tomorrow, again, big day. I'm kind of excited. I think we could definitely get some CAD movement tomorrow, which would be nice, as well as I think we can get some Aussie movement. Again, 7:30 is a great time for that Aussie news. Market is, less volume in it. So again, we can tend to get some movement, particularly, again, if you're going to trade it with Nadex, but again, even just some overnight kind of plays. All right. And again, remember, oil is coming in on Thursday this week, not on Wednesday, again, because of the holiday yesterday. So tomorrow dominated by CAD and Aussie news. Okay. All right. So let's go down into the scanner. All right, so the scanner today is kind of interesting setup. You guys can see over here with the majors on the left-hand side, you guys will see again, dollar CAD is already in an uptrend, basically confirmed, right, across the daily, the 4 hour, and the 1 hour, which again, going into news tomorrow is pretty interesting. If we can drive ourselves up into a supply zone, that may give us the potential to get short before any of the news releases even come out. Because again, price will drive up in anticipation of news, which could eventually, again, turn this around. Things that they could say that would do this, they talk about raising the Canadian interest rate. They mentioned that will bring back immediate Canadian strength, which again, what would that do? That would take us from this sideways up confirmed. And what it would do is the scanner wise, it would tell us it's an uptrend setup because we had a pullback. But again, if we were bouncing off higher level supply, that's actually where a reversal will step into the market. So you got to be prepared for that. Dollar's just giving us an uptrend. Again, that's kind of a flat signal right now. Dollar Swiss is giving us a downtrend setup. Again, it's rallying back. It's pulling back. Not surprised about that whatsoever. And you see on the 4 hour and the 1 hour, we basically have this sideways movement in here. Euro dollar sideways down confirmed again. This is dollar strength coming back into the market. Was kind of expecting this. I wanted to see some, what we had going on with, basically any sentiment in the European Union. That big day is going to be also Thursday, I believe, this week. So again, we will probably hear more, but I think it's anticipating it ahead of time. And again, I think the dollar strength coming back in the market is New Zealand dollar sideways down confirmed as well as U.S. strength comes back in. Aussie dollar, it is an anchor break, again, an up anchor break, which means it is definitely a bearish signal going to the downside. And again, we've definitely had some movement to the downside on a lot of the Australian pairs. Definitely been some interesting movement on those. And again, it's actually, at least on the 30-minute right now, it is pulling back, and you're seeing it bounce off 30-minute levels on, let's see, and then an hourly level, and it's about to bounce off 2 other levels. Okay, so a lot of stuff going on with that pair right now. We'll dive into that in 1 second. Going into the European. So the European pairs are kind of, again, they're all showing up right now because, again, for these 3 pairs to be setups, right? Again, for that to be a setup, it has to be pulling back. So we're seeing up against the Aussie, up against the New Zealand, but it's consolidating, right? So this one's kind of slowing down. Then you have Euro Swiss, again,
confirmed to the downside. Again, this is Swiss strength, which we're not seeing that in other pairs. So again, that is definitely a dollar, a euro weakness. I'm sorry, this is going up. So yes, this is Swiss weakness, basically, again, what we talked about with the dollar Swiss. Then looking at the other three, okay, we have downtrend set up in the euro pound, euro yen, euro dollar, and euro CAD. We're seeing these downtrend setup situations out here. Now, this one just went back for the dollar, euro dollar, but again, those are all in similar situations, and you're seeing the pullbacks. The 4-hour and the 1-hour, you're seeing those pull back, at least with confirmations as well. So we'll check those out, and again, that's the pound strength coming back. The CAD basket over here is kind of all over the place. We got consolidation versus the Aussie CAD, dollar CAD. It's up confirmed, basically just on its way. This dollar CAD, you have sideways up confirmed. Euro CAD, New Zealand CAD, again, those are both in setup situations, but again, New Zealand CAD in particular is also a little bit more of a volatile pair. It may not be something you want to trade. CAD Swiss to the downside, but consolidating. CAD Yen, sideways down confirmed, and again, we've mentioned that pair. That one's Aussie basket. Aussie basket is a little funky right now, right? This one's consolidating. This one is just inside of an up. This one is confirmed down, right? This one is an anchor breakdown. So at least these two are consistent. And then the Aussie New Zealand is a downtrend setup right now. But what is it doing? It's a downtrend setup, but it just literally bounced off of a 30-minute zone. So I'll be able to show you that one in 1 second as well. So a little bit mixed here. And again, the 4-hour and the 1-hour, everything is pointing to the downside. So we're talking about Aussie weakness across the board over the last 4 hours. Okay. Now, that's mostly red. Jump across to the pound basket, and what do we see? We see almost basically the exact opposite. We see a lot of blue. We see a lot of confirmed. A lot of things are moving in consistent direction. On the 4-hour and the 1-hour, you are seeing consolidation. But for the most part, besides a little bit of the Swiss, the yen versus the dollar over here, everything is showing us a bit of pound strength. Okay, and again, not bad. Pound strength is fine. That's we expected there to be a little bit more stability. Again, we talked about some interest rates. Although yesterday the talk was that there was going to be an interest rate cut. Today, it seems to be more on the other thing. It seems to be that it's more mentioning the kind of, I don't know, not necessarily a cut, but holding rates maybe a little bit longer than we thought, or potentially, what would a raise look like there? What by making the pound stronger, what would that actually, what would that entail? Okay, so we will see. All right, I don't anticipate anything too crazy on that one this week, but like I said, as we get closer each day, we get one step closer to that, official Brexit leave. And again, then the pound can get back to normal. And I think we'll start seeing, again, I think the volatility will return to that pair as well. Just because it used to be one of the really nice, I mean, it was a great moving pair. It mirrored the pound dollar would mirror the euro dollar, but move like 1.5 or 1 point, I don't know, 1.5, 1.15, times as much. Okay, now it's actually, it's obviously slowed down because of the uncertainty and everything else. But again, that could return a lot to the market. So very, very interested and very, very happy about that. Also very curious. I want to see what it looks like because, and here's why. If they leave and thrive, a lot of other countries are also going to start thinking about the same thing. Okay, some of the other, we're still struggling. The pound left and the pound is thriving. Can we follow the same blueprint that they did to leave the European Union? And again, that would throw the European, particularly with some of these larger countries, or actually, I'm sorry, the smaller countries over there. I mean, Germany and France basically dominate the euro, but some of these smaller countries, if they left, they maybe actually devalue their currency, make it cheaper, make exports more attractive for them, and stimulate their economies a bit more. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so let's jump into some charts over here. Let's go over to here. All right, and we will start with the Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar right now, when we're looking at this one on a daily, you guys can see we've had a nice kind of push down, very nice, right? Impulse correction, impulse correction, impulse move. And on a daily at least, I can shrink this back a little bit. As you can see on a daily right now, right? I can just make it big, it's fine. What are we getting close to? We just kind of pushed through this zone, but we have another very, very clean, very, very easy to see zone coming up on the daily. So something we need to be careful of. We're only talking about 15 pips before we get into that zone. So you got to be a bit cautious, right? It says we're an uptrend setup on the daily, but I'd be very cautious, or on the weekly. But again, I'd say this is moving more sideways. So I'd be cautious with this kind of the larger time frame. So bouncing into a 4-hour, this is what we're looking at. As you guys can see, there's just a sea of green below here, right? So that's kind of what we're looking at. Again, you guys can see here's that nice clean, that we saw on the daily, right? And again, it's pretty clean. Look at this. A lot of green in a row, little pullback, and it continued to push higher. So
definitely something we need to watch out for. And if you're looking at it right now, we're only about 20 pips from that area. So even on the 4 hour, the question is, do we have enough room for this to continue to push down? And the question is, probably not. It's going to be our first big attempt, and it's not only a 4 hour zone, but it's something we can see on the daily. So be a little cautious, right? Dropping down to an hourly, what do we got on the hourly? You can see there's a lot of stuff to the top side, right? A lot of pullback areas. Now, the last pullback area we had, it did go up and grab it. And again, if you guys had the indicator, I think I marked this one off last night. But again, there's your 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Let me change this. I think we figured out that white is the better color. I actually have an updated thing, but I did not get a chance to put it in there today. But you guys can see it there. There's your 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio in this one. Again, there was 3, there was 5, and again, this is the hourly chart. So here's where we are right now, and it was about 8 o'clock this morning. So yeah, I guess we wouldn't know, but this zone was established last night. Before, I think we had this one marked off one way or the other, but there was your first, the first on 3-to-1, 5-to-1 right there from this morning. But right now, it's not showing that there's any other levels above. Okay. Now again, this is the exact strategy that we teach, guys. If you have any question about what we teach, the main strategy inside of the forex class is really what we're doing. We're looking to follow a trend, and again, we had this downtrend set up. You guys can see it right here. See how it's turning yellow? Here, let me pull this back just so it's a little bit easier. You guys see how these are yellow right here? What is that showing us? Look in the upper right-hand corner right now. It's a 1-4-hour downtrend setup, pulling back into an area of supply. Again, the supply and demand indicator pulled this zone as a high quality zone. Downtrend setup into the zone. Your risk was very small. Boom, 3-to-1, 5-to-1, good to go. You were rolling. So there was your trade of the day if you guys were able to take it, combining the two indicators together. All right. Now, again, Josh, I know you had problems with it today where you put both indicators on. Remember that the KTS, the trend state, does have an option to where it can move freely or it will just stay with what it currently is. I know the first time I did, I'm like, oh, I broke it. What happened here? And Matt had to kind of let me know that, oh, no, go in there and change that. And then it worked freely. And now, again, I can go all the way back in here and it constantly is updating versus just giving you with the current one. But again, downtrend setup, 8 a.m. this morning, Eastern time, up into a supply zone that was formed last night at chart school. This is one that you guys should have grabbed. That stop loss says tight. No. I mean, we're talking about a 9-pip base or like an 8.5-pip base. Is there a way to change it? Change what? No, I don't think this stop loss. I think this is a legit stop loss. Change what, Ernest? This question. I'm not understanding. Can you change it? Sure. Just double click on it. Change it right here. Change colors. Me too, but yeah. And then just double click. Yep. It works the same exact way that the Fibonacci version of it does. But just inside of here. Here. And you can still, again, I can still pull the fib lines if I wanted to. But again, there was your trade of the morning. Down setup. Said it was, but it's still in the 4 hour. See these white dots come up, click it. So, like I mentioned on this one, guys, looking on the daily, buying anything higher, which is of quality. So again, any type of a pullback at this point, I'm just kind of waiting for it to go down. This was the trade again, a little bit harder to see here, a little bit sloppier, and I think we mentioned this one last. Up at the hourly gave us a much cleaner signal. And again, we had a downtrend setup in this area. It's funny. We were in a downtrend setup, but we did not get as high. You guys can see it right here, and that's where the turning point was. Even though we were downtrend setup, it did pop to the downside. It was nice, but this one actually, this one matched up better. All right, so that is Aussie dollar, Aussie New Zealand. So Aussie New Zealand, according to Scanner, is
1 hour. So again, you guys can start in a downtrend setup. So we are matching. Okay, it's telling us that we have a zone, but the zone is a bit higher. And I would say that I'd have to agree with that one based off the way that these candles are formed here. And again, these are changing to different, you guys can see that there are technically red, and when I hover, again, it changes all these to green as well as one of the settings. I would say that that's probably the best entry on this one. The way that these candles are formed, there wasn't a lot of movement. This little candle right here gave us a bit of a test. Hold on, this one does not have the have the watermark. I know Linda will say, "Hey, listen, it's not working." All right, so that's what we have. I'd probably wait for it to come up. What we're looking for on this, again, it is in a downtrend setup. We needed to pull back on the 4-hour and the daily. We're waiting for it to come back to 104.00. Drop into a lower time frame again, looking at the hourly. Again, kind of the same thing, right? You guys can see that it's pulling the zone at the same, just a little bit less, and you know you could potentially use that one. You could use it there. I may actually use it off the 4-hour instead. That zone is not very large. About what? Talking about 9 pips, so I'd probably take it on the 4-hour versus the 1-hour. The 1-hour is just a bit more aggressive. Yes, the zone has been tested, but I think I'd just much rather use it on the 30-minute. Again, it's pulling the same two zones between the 6. I think for me, the 4-hour zone is the winner in this one if it does pull back to that zone. And again, clicking on the risk to reward tool, all you got to do is click that zone, and bam, you're sitting in there with your 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Okay. All right, let's go across and look at Aussie Yen. So, Aussie Yen. Okay, we talked about this last night. We had this downtrend setup. Again, it did not come up as high. It ended up turning right here. And again, we collapsed down on another impulse move, a correction, and an impulse. And then we bounced off this zone from the indicator. Now, again, this would have been more of a target, not necessarily an entry. And the reason why it is an entry, again, is because we were already in it. I'm sorry, it's not an entry. It's a target. It's because we're already in the trade. You can see this thing is driving down. It has been, right? The impulse move, correction, impulse, correction, impulse, correction, big impulse, correction, big impulse, correction, impulse. Okay, so again, this thing is going down. You're looking to find areas to get short in this one. And again, on the hourly, not necessarily the best. On the 30-minute, again, kind of similar situation. We had to kind of chase this one. This entry right here, again, that we had drawn off of, did we do it off this one? Yeah, we did it off of that. That was really the best entry in this kind of down draw. And again, you can see this one on the 4-hour. I mentioned this last night. We have this area right in here, right? This area, and that's where the price has now stopped. And it's going to take a little bit to chop through this. So again, we may need that Australian news tomorrow to kind of use this as a pop or some type of movement. But at this point, your profit target should have just been hit. Okay, again, that's what we're bouncing off of. Let's see what it does. Okay, now potentially it could grab some orders up here and it could make another attempt through. It could attempt to go lower, and if it does break this zone again, this can become one of those Harry Potter trades where we're looking at doing something to the downside, right? It could be something along these lines, right? Okay, if we get a break. Okay, and again, that wouldn't be bad. As you can see, if you look to the left, we are kind of the little speed bump right here. Obviously, this drop sideways and pop again. This is a bit of a racetrack, right? So again, the 3-to-1, as you guys can see, is sitting right in the middle of the racetrack, and the 5-to-1 is right before the racetrack. So again, potential setup bust through the bottom. If you don't know how to set alerts, again, you can go here and draw a line on there, and then again, empty trader at the bottom, you can always set an alert. Can't do it in here, but there's many different ways to do it. All right. But again, set the alert when it breaks through. Again, that'll give you enough time to get a little bit of white space, have it pull back, use that risk level. That risk level is rather small. You're only talking about 7-8 pips. Great kind of risk to reward, for me to the downside. Okay. And again, set your alert approximately at 74.92. Again, that'll give you enough room. The entry is at 74.95 on the downside, or where we would be looking for it to enter. And again, look for a break, a pullback, and then that is where the short would go. Okay. Let's go to Aussie CAD. So Aussie CAD, same thing. We are in a downtrend setup situation right now, at least in the 4-hour. I'm looking at it on the daily. It's the same thing. It's a downtrend setup. Unfortunately, this is not a lot of clean levels in here. There's a couple smaller ones. Like this one is not horrible, but not too much. And again, what we're worrying about the most is not so much that we have a setup, but the fact that where current price is right now, we're only about 25 pips from a demand zone. Okay, now again, could you capture the 25? Sure, you could, but again, selling at the far end of this curve, kind of into the bottom side of it, not really the best thing, right? Let's see, what do we got on the 30-minute? If there's anything small. No, same thing. I mean, it's still a downtrend setup. We're gonna have a downtrend setup across, but really there's no great clean levels for entry. And again, here you can see we're even closer, right? In this case, we are 11 pips from running into a demand on the other side. So what do we do? Best thing is walk away from that one. All right, just too much going on. Aussie Swiss, same situation. Downtrend setup, right? We're in a downtrend setup situation, but where can it go? Can it go lower? Sure. Can it go lower much? Not before it hits the demand zone. We're only about 13 pips from a demand zone, and this is on the 4-hour, okay? On the daily, you can't see it as much because there's a lot of drama, but on 4-hour, that's where you can really see what we're running into, all right? And again, let me shrink this a bit. Boom. Big green wall, got to be cautious. And again, let's look back. It's right below here. What does that zone look like? Okay, this is where current price is. Yeah, is this a zone? Yeah, you should be able to see that. Do you need the indicator to show that to you? No, but the indicator makes it a lot easier. It's drawing your attention to this zone. Now, is this a zone I would go long off of? Probably not. I mean, it's quite a large wick behind. It's about 22 pips deep. Aussie Swiss on a 4-hour. So it's not horrible. I mean, it's a little bit big, but again, for me, that's more of a target area. I want to see what it does after that. I'd actually be interested in kind of toning this down, looking to see if we break through, and again, taking a short out the downside. If you look to the left right below that, there's really not a whole lot in here. And again, with this candle spiking all the way down, a little hiccup right here, but there's definitely some real estate that we can take on the bottom side of this one. So what I may look for is, again, if you've been short, great, that's where your profit target is. Look for a level of basing in this zone, and then look for it to break below. And if we get a level of basing in this zone and a break below, that level of basing is going to be where your risk level is actually placed. So we'll see where that one comes in. Again, we'll get better read on that one tomorrow night. But right now, there's nothing for Aussie Swiss. And then Aussie Singapore right now, looking at this one, a 4-hour, you can see we're just collapsing, just going lower, right? I mean, even on a daily, there's nothing. We got this one wick right here, this really long spike, crazy wick, and that's kind of all we're dealing with, right? You can see that it's here at the very bottom. So again, is there a clean level we could get into the short additionally? No, not on the daily. Looking at the 4-hour, is there anything that's super clean? There's something that's worthwhile, but it's all the way up here. We got it's really run, so let's see if we can get another, a better entry in there. Hourly, same thing, nothing close. 30-minute, boom, nothing close. So again, if you have the ability to trade this one, if you're in the a challenge, even over to downtrend setup, we got to find an area, and we just don't have one of those. So that's kind of all for the Aussie pairs. And again, tomorrow night with that Aussie news, it should give us a boom. Now, CAD yen. All right, so here's your CAD yen 4-hour. And again, we talked about this one. I think this one is officially, I think you would have hit the third. Yeah. So again, we are below the 3-to-1. It is approaching the 5-to-1 risk to reward ratio. And again, we talked about this last night. Again, we can count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're here. You guys can see we brushed up again. And again, that one was marked off. So dropping this one, let me delete that so we don't have the move in there. Dropping some of the lower time frames. Let's see what we got over here. So this is what I was worried. Okay, yes, we are, again, I'll shrink this a bit. We are, again, inside of a downtrend setup, and this is also what the scanner says. Again, this is 1 and 4-hour right now. It would be the same for the 30-minute because the 4-hour is in a setup zone right now. Yeah, it's given a sideways down confirmed on the actual chart dynamics scanner. But again, I know actually it's a downtrend setup. I'm sorry, I was reading the daily there. Yeah, so we are in a downtrend setup, but again, where current price is, you can see we're only about 16 pips from an area where this is what happened. We got a nice clean pop, and it didn't actually get back to it, and it triggered a lot of this kind of from sideways to up. Okay, so it is an area that you need to watch out for. Is there a place for us to get in? It doesn't appear so. I think this one has just gone too far. And again, you guys can see it here. We are in a downtrend setup. But is there a great zone? Not so much. I mean, there's a little bit of a basing level here, but it's not the best. I mean, as it goes across, the high of that one is the last candle. And look at that last candle. I don't know if you guys can see this candle or not. Look at this candle right here where the cursor is. I can put... Yeah, see that candle? Very, very tiny body, long wick, long wick. So it's not really the best candle to do analysis on because it just shows a lot of indecision, okay? You typically want a very strong kind of, wide-bodied, long-bodied candle when you leave an area, so it's not really the best zone. So I'd be cautious with that one as far as an entry goes. And again, we're approaching demand, so again, you don't want to necessarily be selling into an area of demand. Okay, that's CAD. And then here you go on this guy. And again, this is the 30-minute. You guys can see that was the trade up there, that zone that we marked off yesterday, right? that's really, I mean, besides that, really, this is what we had today, right? From where we are right now, you guys can see, puts us, here's where we were last night, right here. This candle right here. There's the 19, the 20 candle. So again, that's the zone we were approaching, and look at the reaction off of it. By the time chart school was done, its movement was finished, pushed further. So, based off that, I think we drew this one too. I shut this one down, so I'm not sure. Where was this actual trade set? One candle, we were basically done. Actually, I guess it took two. All right, but again, no, not really. 30-minute, you guys can see what we ran into. Tested a few times, so again, basically just kind of boxed in. So, jumping down there. All right, so this is one we've up there since Friday. We are past, and a little bit. This one again. This is from last Thursday. At this point, where current price is, you were up 113 pips to the downside. Again, you absolutely have your profit locked in if you are still in this pair. I know, Ernest, you were in this one. You got it last week. You took half off, and you're letting the rest of it ride. Again, this thing could potentially ride all the way back down, probably into this area before we see too much in the 111. So this could be quite a runner. Again, I'm sure you've locked a little bit more profit in, but even lower, trying to get into anything even smaller, you can see that this is what we're dealing with. As we drop to the lower time frames, what we got again. There you go. I mean, you can see the entry of what it looked like, and it just grind, a little bit of a pop right at that 3-to-1, and again, a little bit of a grind to the downside. So, um, that's kind of what we're dealing with. Get the lower time frames is showing us now there could be potentially there could be potentially something here. It's not horrible. Like I said, we're in a downtrend setup. We are approaching this. This is the last really clean takeoff area, but if you look to the left, I can tell you what it went off of. It's very obvious to see what it bounced off of. This would have been a cleaner entry using this here. Um, this is one of those ones that you're chasing the train. If you're trying to get into this one now, you're chasing. I mean, it's already moved quite a bit. And again, this one was set up on this larger time frame. And again, we did not use the indicator. What we did is we used the indicator to find the zone for us. And then what we did is we went to a lower time frame to refine that zone. And we actually, you guys can see here, we cut that zone in half, right? Our risk on that one was this, right? Versus taking the entire area. And again, made it a lot easier, much nicer of a trade to actually get into. To the downside. All right. So that's where we go now. And again, very healthy. I mean, at least on the daily, right? Impulse move, correction move, impulse move. And again, it's bouncing off a wick over wick right now on the daily. You guys can see that. Plain as day. And again, let's see if we can push through. We will push potentially down here to this next one before we run into a hiccup. Down to 112.53. Okay. So we are still golden in that one. Like I said, that's been a runner since last week. Looking at the European pairs. So looking at Euro Aussie on the hourly, you can see where we're at, okay? We just pushed up, and again, what are we? We're in an uptrend setup. We just pulled back. But again, this is the exact opposite of what we talked about. Uptrend setup into an area of supply, though. Is that a good trade? No. No. Does it mean it can't break? No, of course it can. And it always has the ability to break a zone, right? The market, you never know. But again, what is it telling us? It tells us that there are sellers in that area. And in fact, in this one as well, I would actually look behind this candle, and I would actually draw the zone off of this, not necessarily here. So this is the third, the second attempt in. Again, this one went super deep. This one went pretty deep as well. So if we do get a halting in price here and a push up again, I don't know that this one will actually hold again. I wouldn't rate this one extremely high. But again, we are bouncing off a level. So dropping down to a 30-minute gives us a little bit better of a view. And again, what it does is, let me pull that. Bam. Okay. Here's what we have on the 30-minute. And again, looking back, would we use this zone, or would we look back here to where we have all these descending candles? We would go back to here where all these descending candles are. Okay, that's actually where the zone started, not this move. But again, it's a legit zone. It pushed in, it came up, it retested the bottom and pushed down. So you do have to respect it. There is a little bit of buyers, to the downside. But again, this would technically be a counter trend trade, right? We are at the top side. We are in an uptrend setup, but we are sitting in an area of demand. I'm sorry, not demand, supply. There's a bunch of demand below. Look at all this. You got all this green. It's like, man, it's like just fields and fields and fields of green, right? A lot of pops on the way up. right? So there's definitely a lot of buyers sitting in this pair to the downside. But again, so the big question is, are you going to be an aggressive trader and take these things, the opposite direction? Sure, you could. The risk level on this one is not that much. You're only talking about 15 pips. If you're going to take this one, and again, this is definitely more aggressive. I'm not recommending this one, but again, it does give you a lot of space. Besides this little hiccup here, your 3-to-1 is just below that in this level of basing, and your 5-to-1 is actually sitting below the next demand zone. So it's actually not placed horribly bad if you're able to catch it into that zone. But again, understand, it is giving you an uptrend setup. It is going counter trend. It is hitting an area of supply. So there's a lot of things that are kind of going against you in this trade. Okay. So just be cautious of that. All right. So that's what we got going in Euro Aussie. Let's look at Euro CAD. So Euro CAD, we're kind of smack in the middle. Here's the hourly, right? Let me hit some of these other ones so you guys can see it. So on the daily, where are we? We're very, very low in the curve, meaning that we're probably more likely to be looking for longs, not necessarily shorts. And we're bouncing right off this bottom level. Okay. Now again, with the daily and weekly, it is in a downtrend setup, but is it a great place for us to sell? The area of demand here, we came and tested it here, we tested it here, and we got a little bit lower right here. In this thing, there's definitely some buyers sitting there, and that's on the daily. Looking at it on the 4-hour, right? Oops, that. On the 4-hour, okay, that's kind of what we're dealing with. Okay, we can't see that large green bar. It's part of this right here, but you can see that this base right here, right? Actually, I think if we go back, yeah, again, I'm using the backtest tool. So when you go back to here, you guys can see that here was that original zone at the bottom. Now again, low in the curve, what should we be looking to do? Long or short? We want to go long when we're low in the curve. Well, here was a failure to go lower situation, right? And boom, it hit that zone here. Again, I'll mark it off so you guys can see it. So again, failure to go lower, boom, 3-to-1. Came back down again, tested it to the same exact point, 3-to-1. Ended up going all the way up to 5 to this one. And what did it just do again? It came down a third time, which again, third is where it starts getting sketchy. And boom, just pegged a 3-to-1 again. So this trade technically was worth, let's see, 55 pips 3 times off this same little entry area. Okay. And again, it was only about 18, 19 pips risk. So not a bad little trade, right? Now, as we came across, again, this zone, oops, not that. That's not what I wanted to do. You guys see, once this zone got painted, it reset the thing, the indicator. It technically should go all the way across because that wasn't a big test. But again, you guys can see where this one went through. And again, it came back to here. It erased that one. Back. And you can see another good entry here. Again, another good entry here. Again, it erases it at that point. Again, this is one of those things where, yes, you have to be careful because, again, it is telling us that, again, we are in a downtrend setup. It's pulling back. It wants to go lower. And yes, you're right. It is wanting to go lower. And is there a trade in here? Sure. You could have used this zone here. Is this the best zone? It's not horrible. But again, it's one of those things that you got to say, okay, I'm going into an area of demand. Well, I just bounced off of it here. I had a fail to go lower. Is it pulling back to grab more orders? Yes. So I could have taken this short and played it back down again. But I would have to have a target here. Okay. Again, I like this more for going long, going counter trend, because again, we had this big spike down, one candle base, very clean, one pop up, and then boom, it established a new uptrend. As soon as this one failed to go any lower, bam, that showed me that we had buyers here. So if I didn't get in here, you were definitely getting in here for this trade to the top side. And again, this one, depending on how aggressive you were, you may or may not have taken that one. After you've won 2 times or even just 1 time, taking that risk, you're still ahead of the curve. Doesn't matter. Okay, so again, that's why it's important to understand the curve locations. And again, going back, a little bit of a lesson. Sorry that I'm ranting. You guys can see, are we high on the curve or low on the curve? If we take our fib tool, right? If we take our fib tool and we, broke it into 33s, right? Oh, the baby's up. If you broke this in and we said, okay, well, here's one, there's one. Oops. Say that there's one. Right? Here would be the top 30%. And then we got the no man's land. So again, selling here, you want to look to buy here. We're low in the curve. Okay. And again, that's on the daily. That's why on the weekly news report, I had the location on the curve because that's where you should kind of be thinking of what would be the next move. How do I anticipate what I should be seeing next? Okay. So if you're not using that report, again, this was another week. This was like, I think, what was it, like 113 pips this week? So it's like 230 something pips this month already just using minis on those Sunday reports. So if you guys don't have it, go out there and get it. It's $10. Like I said, I should probably be charging a lot more than $10 for a month of that. Um, but I want you guys to get, I want you guys to have tools that you can go to on a regular basis. But that's why the where are we on the curve? That's what this is exactly why it's there. All right. Dollar Swiss. Okay. Dollar Swiss, where are we sitting? Kind of similar situation. I mean, look at this on a daily. Again, we are definitely driving. We are definitely lower in the curve. We're definitely getting close to an area of demand. So, yes, downtrend setup on the daily and weekly, but we have demand right below it. Looking at the 4-hour, kind of the same situation. Now, we don't see the green below, but are we technically in a trend right now? No. I mean, these are 4-hour candles. This thing is basically just dead flat sideways. So really not a whole lot trending on this one. And again, looking out on the hourly, you guys can see, I mean, this is super, super ugly. Just back and forth inside of the same channel. We're sitting in area of demand and then pop right back up with this kind of gap here. So nothing in this one. I wish there would be more in that, but there is not currently right now. Looking at the euro dollar or the euro yen. So same situation. Okay. And again, on this one, so this is the hourly, right? This is where we are right now, right? Here it says 21. And chart school from last night was right here, right in this candle. Okay, on this one. And remember we talked about this? It's like, oh, we missed it. Well, we did mark that zone off, and I believe this is a 4-hour. Yeah, I think it was a 4-hour. Did we do it on a 4-hour? Oh, I hate the overlay. um, off of the zone. It's actually just a little bit higher. Anyway, you guys can see what it did. It ended up pushing down and pushing here. But again, would this have been an entry or a target? It would have been a target, right? Because it just came off of a zone. So again, we're not looking to enter, enter here, enter here, enter here. We're not entering 8 million times. Enter, target, see what it does, and then determine what what your move is going to be. We probably drew it off the 30. Probably did it off this one here. And for this entry, you would have probably problem with this one is this candle right here. There, and again, you can see the pop. Same area as the teeth and pop. Kind of where we're getting at. And again, from where this one at least gap to right here, we're only talking about, it's about, I mean, from where current price is, about 28 pips. Kind of one of those things. We know there's definitely hidden buyers down here. We know that there's hidden buyers sitting in this zone. So that's kind of what we're worried about is this downtrend setup into that zone. And the fact that it's only 29 and the 4-hour ATR is 22, it says we only have about 4 hours for this trade to kind of go to the downside, right? So it's not necessarily the cleanest, right? Structure tried to be broken here. No, it should be you. I did move the mic a little bit, but it shouldn't affect it that much. Not for me. Crazy with the mic. Yeah, no, it should be fine. Around the cord over. No, it should be. I can see the sound monitor. It's a little bit low right now, so it may be, but it's definitely moving. Nope, it is cutting off. You guys are getting all over me. I did move it a little bit. Hold on, I'm gonna move the mic just a little bit more. It's a headset mic, so sometimes It depends where it is. It could be too close or too far. I do have another mic, but I don't have the sound set up correctly yet for it. I need to finish testing it, and I'm going to move it so you guys can't hear birds as much. The goal is to get that set up, and then I'll start like camming too. Traveling on a hotel mic. Q is watching in his flip-flops. Maybe. Sounds perfect. I don't know about perfect. I've heard myself. I don't think it's perfect. Anyway, guys, that's where we're at Euro again. Like I said, I think on this one, any profit to the downside, we need to be a bit cautious. Even though it's all of these downtrend setups, it's getting too close to a zone right now. And actually, remember, look at this. All right, so here, I talked about a hidden level, right? Here's your hidden zone, right? I'm gonna remove it. There's the white. I'll remove this. No, not that. Oh, I want the arrow. With the arrow, but watch this when I go to 30-minute. There's your hidden zone right there. So it's sitting down there. You guys can see it. And again, need to about that one. All right. I'm not sure why that box is still there. That should be gone because price is up. But anyway, you'll see those errors every so often. All right. So looking at Euro New Zealand. Euro New Zealand, again, another sea of green. Okay, a lot of different levels over here, right? We'll try to reset it a little bit, and again, it's valid. Okay, it's been pushing up, but is there really basing in here, or is there really trending? Not really. It's just basing. It's just going sideways. 4 hour, it's kind of banked off the zone a bit, but again, what do? We have demand here, supply there, top and bottom. Not really much we can do, right? We're just sitting smack dead in the middle, and when they're in the middle like that, just not worth it, right? Just not worth taking a trade like that. So we're going to move from Euro New Zealand. We'll go to Euro Dollar. Now, Euro Dollar, we marked off a bunch of stuff here. Now, we had a zone here, and again, great example, right? So we marked this one off yesterday, right? I loved how this looked, right? I love this thing right here, right? So we had these two kind of touches, but we had really 1, 2, 3, and what happened on number 4? Boom. Then it got busted, right? And then came back through and then pushing back down again. So again, remember, these things cannot last forever. There's only so many orders that are sitting inside of this zone. And in this case, again, the magic was 4. Most times it's 4. But again, you could say that these are, you could even say 1, 2, 3, and 4 would be here. So this would be 5. But these two are kind of, they're barely grazing it. And I didn't count this one as much. So again, this, these little half ones, this one, and then boom, it goes through. So again, that's when they break. These things don't last. They're not indefinite. It's not like a dead set. It will last forever. So you got to be able to, strike when the iron is hot. Looking on the 4 hour, you guys can see, I'll remove it now because again, that was based off the 30-minute. And again, it was bouncing back and forth, but we mentioned this yesterday. It was a wick over wick. Yes, it hit here and it hit here, but we were worried about it bouncing off this area. What has it done? Yeah, it came down, it hit the area and it bounced and came all the way back up, didn't go to this level and then dropped back down again. And where are we sitting right now? Well, we're seeing two different zones here. You're seeing, the one that the indicator is painting, but this is really where the zone started. So yes, we are in a downtrend. It is, a move to the downside, but we're sitting in an area of demand. Now, am I willing to go long at this point? Big question is, what type of catalyst do I have? Where, what's really pushing? Like I said, based off of their zone, again, I would obviously not be going long with it now. Based off of the zone that I drew, again, on this time frame, on the hourly, I would shrink it. Again, it was drawn off the larger time frame. I would probably, in this case, I would probably go with kind of these two, but I would combine both of those two together. That's not a bad area, this lower one here. Tomorrow morning. Nothing great. That's not a bad area, this combination of these two. And again, I wouldn't take it off of both. One of the two zones. It'd be something along those lines if I was looking to take that. Problem is we're going to hit that one. We may hit that one right around the European release, European Open. It's got ATR on this one, and we're only sitting about 6 pips from this area, and it's got an ATR of 8 on a 1 hour. So technically, this thing should hit this by 11 p.m. Eastern time tonight, which again will start to get really slow and kind of suck a lot out of it. I don't know. This one may be interesting. I mean, it may be one to watch. Kind of see what it does. If you guys are going to be up a bit late tonight, see how it approaches that level. See what it does. because it's not at like a European release time, I don't think we're going to get a large, like it's not going to hit it and explode off of it. There's really no catalyst for it to do that right now because there's just not a lot of volume going on. I mean, it would be a more of a slow bounce. But it could be a situation where, again, you could take in spot currencies or you could potentially take this over in the Nadex realm. Um, again, be cautious with it. I mean, the euro dollar only moved 15 pips today, but a lot of this was up and back again. So, I mean, total movement for this one, you're talking about 40 pips top to bottom. So there's potentially something in there. Now, again, no U.S. news or no European news. It's basically all Canadian news tomorrow. So that does kind of hurt kind of the explosive nature of it. But again, it could be worth something on the smaller time frames. Without a European news or U.S. news, you are probably protected against any type of large, sudden whipsawing back and forth. And even if you're ever taking this in spot currencies, you're talking about 8 pips. So not the end of the world if you end up taking a loss on it. Now, it is counter trend. Looking at this one on the daily, you guys can see that we are kind of smack in the middle. If we take the kind of the bottom and the lows on the chart, you can see we're kind of at the middle, bottom middle. So it's not the best place to be taking along. It's definitely something more on the shorter term. I would actually, of these two, again, this is on the daily. This is a better area to go long down here. Even on the 4 hour, it's you can see that when we're looking between the swings, the highs, and the lows here, we are kind of smack in the middle. So it's not the best one. It's definitely a smaller time frame. And again, we're bumping into this area here. This zone down here is a much cleaner zone. If you guys don't have this one marked off, this is at 110.55. Much cleaner zone, much better place. So again, this is for the very aggressive trader, the conservative trader. I'd be waiting until we kind of come down to this area as well. Okay, and that's euro dollar and euro Singapore. Again, got a nice little pop off that, but unfortunately, there's nothing to this low that we can really kind of run it off of. So interesting enough, you guys can see it did grab at this base before it pushed back down again. The indicator didn't grab this one. I'll draw it here real quick. Oops. It drew it off of. It should have. I mean, it probably should have pulled from there, although it's again, it's not as good. It's good grabbing the tops and the bottoms. It doesn't grab as much in the middle, but that's kind of what the setup would look like, guys. And it's easy, right? We pulled off this zone again. This one spiked up into it, so it kind of messed it up because this spiked so high. But again, you can see the red down, the little bit of green, the basing, and then the large extended move out. Okay, so this is not an indicator grab, but it's a grab that you guys could have grabbed. Pulled across, literally spiked up, and then came back down. It hit the 3-to-1. It pushed up a little bit, and it looks like it's pushing to the 5-to-1, which is also before the opposing demand. So again, for people that are having problems with profit targets, this is always a nice way to look at it, saying, okay, yeah, could I go for a 5-to-1? Sure, you could. Yeah, there's not a whole lot that can stop us until we get back down to this level, which is right below the 5-to-1. So again, this is one of those times where you could potentially keep it to that 5-to-1 risk reward ratio. All right, and that's on a 4 hour. Got an umbrella in his drink. Surely not the red Nikes. Yeah. All right. So that's euro. Let's go to the pound. All right. So, and we mentioned this last night that we were sucked in. This is a daily. You can see we really didn't do anything on the pound yen daily, right? We're still in this uptrend concern, but it's consolidating, right? Dropping down to a 4 hour. And again, this is how easy it is to do the analysis. You can see what did we do? We had a pop and it pulled back down again. So yeah, we did had a bit of a move. I mean, here's where we are right now, right on the 4 hour, and then here is where we were last night in this candle. So it went up and pulled back, didn't really move. It didn't bounce off any supplier demand zones. Looking at it on the hourly, you can see this is kind of what we dealt with. And again, this one for me not so much. This is a pretty nice little level. It ground its way up and then exploded off of it. So that's not bad. And again, I like this zone. I do not like this zone. I'm not a fan of this one, but I like this one. Again, straight across, came and just grazed the top of it and bounced, and it hasn't been able to make it. So for me, it's here and here, top and bottom, until we hit either of those two. Again, not worth it. If you guys want to set alerts for these, again, you can set an alert at 144.13, and on the other side, you can set it for 142.75. Wait until we hit either of those two before we do any type of buy or sell. So it's a patience game with this one. Looking at the CAD. All right. So here's that alert that we talked about. Oh, excuse me. Here's that alert we talked about. Okay. Here's the daily, right? Ugly daily. You guys can see we put two lines. Again, they're not from the daily, obviously. I don't even remember what time. Oh, now they're huge. So yeah, best zone? Not really. I mean, this would have been more of a forcing trade. We will see some movement in this one tomorrow. And again, you could not trade this one with Nadex, but it is definitely something that is tradable with the news. I'd like it to be in a 4-hour zone though, so I kind of need it to be back down here. Being in between these two zones is a little bit riskier as far as trying to time this one. But again, if you see bad Canadian news, again, expect this one to continue to rise all the way up, and then look for potential sells. I actually am not a fan of this red zone here. I would use the zone based off of here instead. Probably there is what I would use. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could just put it on the top of this one. That'd be okay. I would use the top of this green candle in this base on the 4-hour, and then yeah, that's probably fine. Use the bottom of the green again. There, grazed, grazed, grazed. So again, we expect it to kind of hit it the next time. So kind of what we're looking for on that one. Pound Aussie. All right, I was like, wait, what? That are getting lower, and we have lows that are getting higher. So we have true consolidation. Again, I can. You guys really want me to draw the trend lines? I can draw the trend lines for you guys and be like this. Okay. So again, you guys can see this pattern. I said I don't put too much stock into the patterns whatsoever, but again, you see the consolidation between the two. It's waiting to explode. When it forms in there, it is looking to burst out. Unfortunately, on the daily, we really don't have a great kind of burst out area. Looking at this on a 4-hour, is there a lot of great zones in here? Not really. Not really. I mean, this one's very, very tiny. I mean, prices have been back to it. Nothing on the top because we keep having these like spikes that go up. So this is not bad, but again, look to the left. Here's the zone. Okay, here's the actual zone that I'd be looking for. Okay, which is just above that. You can see a little bit of an overlap. So I would use actually that top level, not the one that the indicator is showing. Again, remember, always look to the left. It draws you in, it sucks your eyes in, then look to the left. Okay, so for me, it's that zone. Downside, I don't really like too much. It's nothing that's looking great on the bottom side. So 4-hour, nothing. If we look over at the hourly on this one, again, top and bottom, we're wedged in between. Okay, we're smack in the middle. When we're high, we sell. We're looking to sell. We're low, we're looking to buy, and then don't diddle in the middle. And that's kind of where we're at. We're stuck right in the middle of this one. So not too much ready to go. Pound Aussie. Okay, Pound Aussie is in an uptrend setup on the 4-hour. But that's what we have going on right now on the 4-hour. So uptrend setup into an area of sellers. Okay. And again, it's already started to pull away a little bit. The risk on this level is, yeah, it's big. It's about 60, 65. It's funny, you can't, on the lower time frames, it's not actually giving it to you. This one it did, I guess. Gave you a little bit there. We're starting to pull away, but again, I don't like this one on the 30-minute, and the reason why is because all this level of basing right here. Okay, again, remember, we want clean targets. You love it when it's like this, right? Or something where it spikes up. When you get a level of basing this close, it's not even 1-to-1 away where you have a level of basing, not really the best entry. Okay, and again, we really push this one down. And again, this was drawn off the 4-hour. Okay, so we got to really go back and take a picture of this one. And again, as high as we needed to go. Again, always be cautious when you see levels of basing right before your zone. Again, we would like a nice clean entry, not a slow grinding base and then you pop into your zone, because that just basically shows me there's buyers established right before the zone hits. So pound Aussie is not really the best one we're looking for right now. Pound Swiss, okay, bit of a gap there, right? Bit of a gap, but yeah, we saw a gap in a bunch of the pairs with this broker. At the daily, okay, on the daily, we got good top, good bottom, smack that in the middle. Story of the pound right now. Stuck in the middle. Test here, one little test here, and pop. Potential little area right here. That's not bad. Again, it's gap, sideways, and drop. And again, this one retested.
Again, it's small. In case you guys didn't see it, there was the gap from Sunday. Right there. All the way down to the 5 for 1. And remember, I only count the 3 to 1s. I don't count the full 5s, just FYI. Um, yeah, totally sideways movement on the 4 hour. I'm sorry, on a daily. On the 4 hour, again, downtrend setup in an area of demand. Again, it's been here, here. It's definitely got some issues with that area. It's not explosive enough for me. I don't think there's too much here. And again, it just keeps pushing. I do think it'll break this next time, but I don't really necessarily like the zones. It's a lot of wick in this. A lot of wick. And again, New Zealand cat is not something. Again, typically New Zealand cat, we want to make sure we are at a good, clean top or bottom in this one, and only take it if we have there. And again, you guys can see here on the hourly, we're just bouncing back and forth in a small range. The range in this one is 18 pips top to bottom. So not enough meat on that one for us. Go to New Zealand dollar. New Zealand dollar, again, we have this position over here, confirmed downtrend. We were in a downtrend setup, at least on the daily, right? We're in an uptrend setup. But again, what do we bounce off of? We had an area, again, we had the pullback here, uptrend setup, but again, it was turning off of an area of supply, a big area of supply, very, very clean area of supply. And again, that was the actual trend reversal in this position. So looking at the 4 hour, same thing. I think this one has moved a bit much. Yeah, there's no clean, nothing clean. This is a good zone up top. It has to move quite a bit before that, although we are approaching demand here. I don't necessarily love that demand. Again, that is a target demand, not a long demand. Same thing, downtrend setup, 1 hour, 4 hour, but what do we have? Where can we go? We can go 11 pips into a demand zone. So again, we are at the opposite end of the curve. We got to wait till it goes down. Let's see if it bases and it starts building a confirmation turn. If we can get a green, red, green out of that zone, then we know that's a legit zone and we can start seeing if we can get some movement to the top side. But right now, not so much. New Zealand yen. Again, daily where we are, we just literally came off a turning point. Again, this was a failure to go higher, easy zone grab, and it has now moved 88 pips to the downside. And again, I don't think we're probably close. Yeah, we're right there sitting on top of that 3 to 1. Now this one, I probably would have adjusted my target slightly, and the reason why is because looking to the left, kind of where price is currently right now is where the profit target would have been the safe profit target. That would have been the start of the move behind the candle the last time we actually had solid bodies there. So it did kind of flaunt off. I don't think this green. I think we missed it by pipettes in that one. But again, I would have had my profit target probably about where this is right now, a little bit less than a 3 to 1 had you been taking this off the daily. Now again, that would have been a last week trade. Dropping this one down on the 4 hour. You can see this one actually was here. Yeah, it's triggered last week. And again, it's just continued to push. Nothing. Again, I don't see anything, really on this one that's, showing me top or bottom is great. Hourly gets kind of messy with all the zones up top. So, but again, this zone is holding firm. This one, bam, here one. And again, this zone is hitting and bouncing off of it. But again, next time will be number 3, so we could have a potential break. And then again, there's zone here, but this one is actually a little bit nicer than that one. So 2 potential areas on this one. And again, no New Zealand news. If we had some New Zealand news, that would be a little bit better, but we don't necessarily have it. This one is ugly. We're going to skip that New Zealand Swiss. All right, let's go down to the dollar. All right. So this one actually broke through the bottom a little bit, but you can kind of see kind of where it was. Looking on this one on the daily, again, we got super close. We didn't quite get the entry. I know we were talking about this last night, that we needed this just to move just a little bit more, and it didn't last week, right? And it started to pull back again and has now stopped. Now we are in an uptrend setup on the daily and the weekly, and you're thinking, hey, that's great. You told me to go with it, follow this, right? Yeah, follow that as long as there's not demand sitting or supply right in the way. And again, there's supply right in the way. Okay, drop into a 4 hour. Okay, you guys can see, what do? We actually build a little bit of supply on top. Again, right, because of this candle and the movement that was generated off of it. So is it the time to go long? Not really, but is it the time to go short? And that's the other question. So we have pushed a little bit farther, but it doesn't really show me anything super clean underneath, right? As far as demand goes, not a bad zone here, not a bad zone here, and even below, there's really not a whole lot until we get way down here. So there is potential in this one. Well, that one shouldn't be through both. Stop here. Plus, we have the sitting here, so this didn't have this gap in here, this big kind of jump in here, I think it would have been good to take something to the downside. Again, at least, I mean, again, if it was just going cleanly from here, like if it was a clean move from here to here, then yeah, that wouldn't be bad. But we have this situation here, which kind of wipes out about 30% of the actual overall projected move. So I don't think it's necessarily going to be the best opportunity to get in. I think we have to wait till tomorrow morning and then, again, start seeing what type of trades we can get on this one. I think on the 15-minute trade. Yeah, see how it gapped here? It came down, didn't touch, it came up, and again, like I said, I feel like we would have buyers step in, and although this zone is small, I mean, we're talking about a zone that's only 2 pips, not really the best opportunity. It's just too small. You'd have to take at least 4. We only have about 18s. I mean, it is over 4 to 1, but again, you're basically just doubling basically getting the spread plus 2. So yeah, it's just a little bit too much of a squeeze for this one. I don't think now's the right time to be trading that one. Swiss again, you guys are seeing that pullback. We mentioned this before. Here was the zone, and it didn't quite even make it. We were trying to be patient and wait, but now it's had 5 days in a row of up. Again, I mentioned this before. Once the Iran situation was dissipated, we stopped hearing about it. And again, if you look in the news, there is nothing on Iran right now whatsoever. So again, what you're seeing is the Swiss strength leave the market. So again, downtrend set up on the daily and weekly, but again, where can it go? It's sitting in this is daily. Again, this is daily demand, so this is definitely going to be legit, demand on there. Um, again, downtrend setup over here on the 4-hour and the daily. You can't see as much green. The green is definitely not formed below. Right. Yeah, let's see what's over there. See if we're missing anything. Wait. You guys can see there's a level of basing right here, as well as there's a potential zone right here. Okay. If we get any farther back now. So there's a potential zone there, and I wish we could see a little bit farther back. That's where we kind of have an area. Now, if we had an area somewhere in here, that wouldn't be horrible. This zone I'm not super worried about, just by the way it was formed and when it was formed. Again, this would be a drop. Which is not too bad. If price is able to run its way back up. Again, that's on the 4-hour, and the risk on it is very small. You're only talking about 15 pips risk on a 4-hour, so not a bad level. And on the hourly, you can kind of see it's just above where the zone is anyway. So yeah, it's an all right zone for dollar Swiss. Looking at dollar CAD. Dollar CAD again, great level. Came back in, retest, nice pop. Great little piece here, came up and slightly retested, nice pop. So we're kind of in the middle, we're kind of building above. Again, a lot of basing right here, right around this, probably 40-45% mark between these two. It is pushing up. It is going to run into a little bit of drama right here. And you guys can see this little bit right here. Again, drop sideways, and again, it continued to push to the downside. So last time the price is here, it spiked up and was pushed back down again. So I do expect we will see some drama right here, about 20 pips from where we are, at least on the 4-hour. Looking at this on the hourly, you can see actually diving into the hourly, we can dive into that candle a bit more. And you can see it was a pretty clean pop and there's a red body right there. And that's exactly what we just bounced off of. So we may actually not even make it up that high to that zone before it is actually turning and flipping to the downside. The risk level in this one is only about 14 pips on the hourly. So not actually a bad zone with news going into tomorrow morning. I would typically like us again. We're about 12 hours shy before the news. Are not even. I mean, I guess yeah, it's 12 hours for the monetary policy. But again, CPI is coming in at 8:30. That CPI number is good. That will literally be a catalyst. And this one doesn't need a whole lot of move to run to the downside. When you're sitting there, again, your 3-to-1 would be the target. Your 5-to-1 is after the basing that occurred here at the lower end. So this is one of those ones I would definitely think that the 1-to-3 would be a better risk to reward ratio trade on this one to the downside. Now, you could potentially take this now in Nadex as well. There shouldn't be too much premium stacked in a Nadex, although they don't let Nadex dislikes dollar CAD probably because the Canadian government will not allow them to do it. But you know, the spread on the Canadians in Nadex is not justified for any reason whatsoever. Like I said, maybe it's a personal thing with Canada because Canada will not approve them. But yeah, so just be cautious of that. That the strike differentials will be a little bit bigger than some of the other pairs with the Canadian dollar. But again, this one to the downside could be a nice little setup for tomorrow morning. We're sitting in the supply zone right now. And again, if you just need the reminder, there's the news that we have tomorrow, right? A lot of news for Canada. And again, it's expected to be, better, supposed to be zero versus the negative number as we saw before. Okay. And again, if they're holding this, so they mentioned, yeah, we could potentially be raising rates. That could be a big sign. All right. Um, okay. Dollar CAD, dollar Singapore on this one. All right, so dollar Singapore is pulling back. It says uptrend confirmed, but it's kind of one of those ones that probably take this over here, not this one. I mean, this one's all right, but here, this drop here is probably what I'd be taking. Risk is that? At 10 pips, so it's not horrible. This one again, um, not a bad 3-to-1. I like the 1-to-5 on this one. 5 is pretty nice. It's at the perfect spot. It's sitting right here. Um, Sitting right here at the top of the body right behind the candle. So the 1-to-5 is actually a perfect placement as far as a target goes. Obviously, your 1-to-3 would be the first target. That's a little bit low, but I think it would be okay. Again, if we can get this thing to spike back up again, it may have already left. Again, that's what I'd be looking for on this dollar Singapore. Okay. All right, and with that being said, let's jump over and do oil. Again, we do have some extra time on oil. Here's that oil in the daily. I don't know if anybody caught this. Again, I pointed this out before. Absolutely love the setup in here where you have this drop and you have these descending candles in here, the lower highs on the candles in the basing. And again, it's funny, it says we're in an uptrend setup, but that's based off of the weekly. All right, this is the daily chart right here. On here, you can see that we are in what? A sideways down confirmed. We were in a downtrend setup, right? Actually, it's saying uptrend setup, but I would say at this point we've probably switched. You know why it's pulling from the daily, that's why. There's that same zone that we've pulled off of. Here's the hourly move. Bought that for an hourly move. Not only did we ding the top, we ding the bottom level across and push back up again. And I think it was telling us that there was any selling in here. It has put a new level in. So that's kind of where we're sitting right now in between these two zones. Like I said, tomorrow night, I hope we're sitting in this one or this one. That will kind of give us a position of where we could place trades going into the oil release on Thursday. All right. So that would be oil. So I don't do gold, and tonight we actually went through a little bit quicker. Do you guys want me to start doing? I don't have the chart set up right now, so I'm not going to do it tonight. But would you guys like me to throw? Obviously, we have oil thrown in here. We can throw some of the other ones as well. Watch. We have a couple different options in here. We can throw silver up there. We can throw gold in here. Palladium, I'm not going to do. Platinum, I'm not going to do. I don't necessarily want to do the indices. I could technically, I guess, do the indices, but I don't know. It's up to you guys. Is there anything else you guys want me to add? I mean, I could throw the indices, but I could do gold and silver. I know some of you guys trade those as well. I don't trade it, but I can analyze the chart.
Silver, you like gold. You guys like the metals, huh? Yeah, I could potentially add those. Like I said, when we have a night that we go way too late, then again we won't do it. But for the average night, if we go quickly enough, and there's depending on the I don't mind keeping it the way that it is, but I just figured I would offer it and see if you guys. Okay, so I will try to throw in some indices like real fast and just kind of do the quick analysis. Like I said, having the tool on definitely helps. It's much easier to I mean, like I said, I could. Uh, it's unhappy with me right now. You guys caught this one. Actually, entire list of things you all these currency pairs, which I am not going to go through all the currency pairs, and then some of the kind of crazy ones like South African rand is up there. You can pull silver, you can pull gold, you can pull oil, you can pull the futures contracts because again the futures contracts are slightly on Australia, Canada. You can do the DAX, you can do the FTSE, you can do the Nikkei, you can do the Euro Stock 50, Palladium. You could use Platinum, Nasdaq, Dow, and the S&P 500 are all the ones that you can actually trade over there using that. Not getting too crazy. Like there are some in here like you can. I actually know people that do like the Norwegian. I don't, but I mean it's definitely something that you could technically do the analysis on there. Again, a chart is a chart. I mean, I don't know how many times we have to say that. It's trying to pull all the data. It's like, oh my god, what the heck is this? Who's looking at this? But I mean, you guys can see here. I mean, did it bounce out? Sure. All the you get all the data in here. The indicator's like yeah, 160 pips. In this one, it's all. Just needs to get all the data down. About your indicator, by the way. I'll do that as soon as we're done tonight.
Josh is right there. All right, I see Josh in here. I don't see Vanessa in here. Who are we missing here? Who else is Wealth Builder? I don't see Wealth Builder. Is he in here?
Pattern Trader's like, yeah, I like Ryan. That's what I'm liking. All right, so I think everybody's in. Pattern Trader, man, Pattern Trader's got something figured out. I think that's the third time in 2020 that Pattern Trader has been able to grab one of these things. And again, Pattern Trader had a 16% chance. He used Ryan's method, so let's go across and give Pattern Trader his 25 pip chips. Here we go, and that's awesome. We got a new leader. You were tied, Pattern Trader. You were tied with Vanessa. She had won back to back. She had gotten two. So it's good to see that you've pushed ahead now. You've pushed ahead. You are now the leader in 2020. Ernest only has one. James, I don't think has won one yet. I think you won one. Gosh, I think Ryan has won at least one, if not two. Josh, I think you won the first one of 2020, didn't you? I feel like you did. Yep. All right. So there we go. Let me see what's up. Silver. It did pop, but again, not too much movement again with a bit. All right. All right. I am out of here. I will catch you guys around tomorrow morning. Uh, Anything, shoot me a message on Discord. Josh, I will shoot you over that indicator in the next few minutes. You guys take care, and I'll catch you later.